Hello, everybody. My name's Milan Starcic. Welcome to Freedom Rising, a podcast dedicated to empowering individuals on the journey to personal growth, lasting serenity, and freedom from addiction. Tune in and join the movement. Your journey to freedom starts here. We neither represent, promote, or demote any 12-step program or organization. We are merely souls on the path of recovery with the desire to expand our lives and experiences and share them with you. Hello, everybody.
What is up?
Welcome to the 198th Recovery Freedom Rising podcast. I'm Milan Starcic with co-host Andrew Normand. And I want to just further acknowledge everybody who's ever tuned in, who's ever been on this show. We're only 2 episodes away from getting to 200, which,
Thank you.
Stay tuned, which will be an amazing episode with me, Andrew, JJ, and Brandy. Never before together. And my wife was like, do you ever read the comments? And yesterday, I went through on YouTube because I don't know where you can leave comments on Apple or Spotify. And the first comment that occurred is way down the list, but it says, this podcast saves lives, from some lady. So whoever you are out there, I love you. Thank you for that.
Lives, plural?
Yeah. And, my wife got me to look. I was not looking for an attaboy.
I don't believe you. Pixar didn't happen. Pixar didn't happen, bro.
That's a motherfucking attaboy if I ever got one.
Pixar. I've been looking for those. And look, I just because I cruise through, but I don't really know where there's somewhere you can leave. And I've actually left one review at I forget which outlet it was on, but man, that's beautiful. That really that made my day.
Yeah.
That made my day, man. And, so thank you.
Yeah. Yes. And so today's topic is just a beautiful topic. It's embracing the constant state of change. And would you share what this means to you, Andrew, and why you suggested for us to come here today and share our lives and our hopes and our experiences and our brotherhood here today, Andrew?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it really wasn't me. This is God working here, because I have a lot of big upcoming changes coming up, and I'm going through changes right now, so I just, I'd come up with 2 or 3 topics, but this is the only one that really sat on my head. So I kicked it to you and you were down. So,
boom. I was so down.
Hell yeah. So, the fear, there's a fear in resisting for me to change. Especially when I got in here, change was something isn't something that I can embrace when I come in here, right? Change is something that terrified me. It still terrifies me, right? There's some layers of change that I can embrace, but some that I really, really fight hard. But it meant losing control, losing people, losing comfort. And that was everything that I clung on to in my active addiction, was that control. Before I came here, I ran from change like it was an enemy, like it was my sworn enemy. Like any change that was coming my way, I was running. I was hauling ass. I didn't understand that life itself is change. We're changing right now. Like as we're going through this podcast, we'll be a different person at the end of this podcast than when we started it, right? We always learn something in these. Like we're doing this for people to hear some experience, strength, and hope, and maybe get a little bit of traction here, but this is for us too, so we're going to be changing throughout this process. And I lived in fear of the unknown, and I think we can all relate to that. Even when I hated my circumstances, I remember really hating the situations I was in, but I would find a strange fear and comfort in that misery because it was familiar. Maybe not at first, but as I would do this stuff over and over again, I would continue these actions and continue using, it became so familiar. Misery was so familiar to me. And so changing that, it meant risk. There was a pain that came along with that risk. And so I avoided all of it. I avoided both of them. So I thought back, every time my life presented an opportunity for me to grow, I would self-sabotage, because growth in turn required me to change. And if I was going to actually change, it meant facing who I was and what I've been doing. Like I would have to face myself at that point, right? I remember telling myself a lot, like I could quit when I wanted, I could stop doing this, I could stop doing one, and I'd be okay using the other, whatever it was. I remember justifying all kinds of shit in my active disease, man. But but I was afraid to, like, what would happen if I actually did it. Um, and my disease had me so wrapped up that I couldn't even see it. That I could not see that that's what was happening. Like that's literally, I had myself like convinced one way, and I was acting another, and so um, I thought if I stayed the same, at least I knew what to expect, right? And it was easier to know what I was going to expect than to like have all these unknown things happening, right? Because I couldn't handle a lot of uh, critical thinking processes, like that wasn't there. I wasn't able to think process my way into a productive solution at all ever ever, and I was either coming down, going up, too. I was high up. I was not think. Remember, I was always on one side or the other of it. So, nothing changes, nothing changes. I heard that when I first got in here, man. If nothing changes, nothing changes, right? And that became a very, very big one for me when I first got here. And then they say, "Come as you are, don't stay as you are." Like, bring your ass. We'll build a body around it. I heard, and and that requires change. I heard if you got to change one thing, right? That's everything. And before I got into this process, Milan, it was forced. It was painful. Like all change was unwanted for me, and it had to be like a life crisis that happened for me to change. Now it's not like that, right? I can try to change into a better person without all these crazy things happening, all these life changing events, right? Getting locked up, losing a job, and then the thing is I would go through those things, but I still wouldn't change my mindset. I'd get locked up or I'd lose a job, and I still wouldn't change the mindset behind those actions because I was not working a program. I didn't have some kind of higher power, some kind of good spiritual something in my life. I didn't have any direction. So all these, I promised I would change tomorrow, and all this shit never happened because change before I got here was punishment, man. And now I understand it's a process. Change is a process, man. We got to change. We got to change. If we don't change, we're done. If we don't remain teachable and be able to change and use some discernment before we go forward, like that's a big word in this program, discernment. Being able to have that ability to choose wisely, not just to choose because of the drugs or because of some some flash idea you had, right? Like that's how I used to live. I'll keep it on me. So that's me. I know it's you and I today, so we can go a little long tongued if we want to, man. I
Woo!
love you. Love
I
you, man.
love you, brother. You know, uh, this this topic really, from my life experience, was introduced to me while I was researching for our first acceptance podcast, and it's in the Living Clean, where it talks about getting to the point where you're not only living in a state of acceptance, you're embracing the constant state of change. And so there's a lot there, like that. That to me is like, it is the step beyond simple acceptance, you
Yeah.
know. And it's funny, I was just talking to someone this morning, and on my note written down here, but it's living in harmony with how life unfolds. And
Yeah.
harmony really is the even fractured increments of intersection. And it's like, so instead of like bouncing off life, you're almost singing with life. And and so, to it's acceptance of the impermanence, and that impermanence being our companion and our teacher. And like in recovery, just like Andrew said, we learn we got to change one thing. Well, that one thing is everything. And it's, first of all, it's our feelings about stuff. You know, we have to change our circumstances because otherwise we're going to still be in 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 the heat of it, and probably not giving ourselves a fighting chance for that abstinence from substance. You know, our relationships have to change. Our relationships have to heal. You know, most profoundly for me was my understanding of myself and my relationship with the entire universe concerning that. You know, and like the big book, the AA big book says, we cease fighting everything and everyone in their promises, right? And while, and the Living Clean says that flexibility, humility, and faith are essential to staying spiritually alive. And I feel like that relates to what Andrew was talking about growing. Like to me, that spiritual life is that process of growth, evolution inside myself. And if I am fighting change, I'm literally fighting what my spirit needs to stay alive. And, I heard something the other day. I'm going to do a little sidebar, but it relates to this is that, people who make you really angry or people who are your enemies are the universe's greatest gift for you to grow. And for you to hang out with people that you really love all the time is avoiding your greatest possibility for growth. And
Oh,
and so,
okay.
embracing that constant state of change means discovering what is bothering me about any situation. And quite often that discomfort, that bother, it has a face on it and a name, and it's another person, and I'm blaming them for my discomfort. When really inside for me, it's a resistance for me to change. Like what haven't I surrendered that makes me able to be feel anger towards this person? Like because it's my lack of evolution. It's my lack of embracing that constant state of change. And in relation to surrender, like surrender helps us stop resisting this natural flow of life. And in putting it with loving completely, that allows us to welcome the change with compassion and not fear. Love keeps us open when like old falls away and the new is not yet formed inside of us. And it's through these principles that we discover the change is not a threat, but a spiritual invitation. It's an opportunity for us to deepen our trust, our courage, and our gratitude. And the last thing I'm going to say is that embracing the constant state of change, it's very much like I've said before, where, my good friend Laura, she has gratitudes for like all things, the lessons and the blessings. And embracing that constant state of change is having a gratitude for that lesson, even when that lesson kicks you in the balls or punches you in the throat. And anybody who's had either one of those done knows that that's
Sucks.
not a fun thing.
It's the worst. It's the worst.
I kind of like breathing, and I do not like my balls to be a sandwich in my mouth.
Pick one. Pick one though.
Oh, I would take the throat punch if it doesn't
I
kill
would
me.
too. All day. I would
Yeah,
all day.
because it
I'll
would be
take a.
hours. Oh yeah, like
I'll
because
take
it's
that over like.
hours on the ball kick.
Yeah, and you're like borderline about to throw up for hours
Yeah.
versus like just yeah, I can breathe around it. Uh-huh.
So
I'm
this
with
is literally one of my favorite topics, and I would like when Andrew suggested it. I was pretty much cartwheeling while I was driving. You should have seen me going down the road cartwheeling in my car because it's a small car, but
And honestly, you should have seen my thought process before sending it to you. I was like, "This is a lame." I was like, "That is lame," because I was sitting in a meeting as I normally do. I'm sitting in a meeting, and it kind of came up that phrase, and I went, "Should I just send it to him?" Because it seemed perfect for me. And then I tried to. It took me hours to send it to you because I tried to think of a couple more, and I was going to send it to you, and I went, let me just see what he thinks about this one. And you were like on, and
oh, I
yeah.
was like, yeah, like that was. I'm like, pick me a more perfect one
I
this
want to
time.
touch on I want to touch on something you said you were
Yeah.
you were hitting with the surrender piece with the change. When we can really grasp the surrender piece and really get as we grow into being able to surrender better and better, changes become so much easier when we can get that process down, right? Those changes actually flow. It's a way easier process to change anything you're doing. if you can surrender, because that you let go of what you can't control about that situation before you move forward, it's a lot easier to move forward, right? um and it's always an opportunity. Change is an opportunity to deepen our relationship with whatever higher power you have in your life, right?
Yeah.
Because if we're changing, we're having to talk with him through that change, right? It deepens our relationship and our communication with him. So great points, man. I love it. You ready for my question?
Yeah, I'm going to say one thing after what you just said is that it's
Yes.
like picture my finger is like the change, right?
I
Before
see
we
it.
got in the program, we would go and go, shit, there's change. Boom, shit, there's change.
Yep. Yep.
Now we're like a river and we just flow around both sides and keep going.
Ooh, can we get slow-mo? Can we get slow-mo? Ooh, so much better than that first jank.
Yeah.
So much better than that first one, man.
Okay.
All right, you ready? We're
I'm
gonna
ready.
start off. We're gonna start off with this one. So, what did change represent to you in your addiction? Let's start there.
Change represented, I know exactly. It was like, it was a hassle. It was a problem. It was disrupting my patterned obsessive behavior with substances. Like anything that wasn't inside my little plan, which generally is probably about 99% of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
you know I would see it as some sort of like universal punishment to me. I would see it as disruptive to all of my great plans. I would
Mhm.
I would quite frankly uh wonder what I had done wrong to deserve this, and I was never recognized as the opportunity it could be. It was never recognized as a direction, a signpost for me to grow in. It was never like there just wasn't that happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I'm not going to go on and on that one
Don't you
because
drop no mics on. It's too early to try to drop a mic on me right now because I'll catch it.
I wasn't dropping the mic. I was merely setting it down in front of me.
Because you start. I think you like started to try to think you were gonna do that, and I was like, no, I'll back you up right now. Don't you play with me right now.
No, that's why I said the sentence so that it didn't seem like a mic drop.
All right, sizzle pan. I love it. And look, I keep thinking about change. The only thing I keep thinking about all morning is how that lady left us that review.
Yeah.
I keep thinking about that somebody took the time to write that review that said that this what did it say, that this podcast
It
changed
said
lives.
this podcast saves lives.
That it makes me want to cry, man. Honestly,
Yeah,
thank you.
it was something to experience, man.
Why are we doing this, Milan? Right? Why are we doing this? It's everything. This is why we're doing this, right? This is hopefully it might reach somebody, anybody at any given point, right? And that's beautiful.
Yeah,
I don't even know what my answer was, man. What did the change represent to me in my addiction? Very simple. It was fear. Change represented fear, period. You know, it was something I literally wanted no parts of because it meant letting go of the only world I ever knew. Like it's everything. I was going to be taking and changing everything I had known so far. And that was very, 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 very scary, and change for me was like walking in a dark room with no light switch, not having any clue what was in that room, and just I'm supposed to just walk through it. um it was not exciting at all. um I was never hopeful for change, right? I never hoped it came, and then when it came, I was never hopeful for me to be able to get through it, because here we go again, I lived off that control, all that manipulation, and predictability. Like, even if my life was completely out of control, I was predictable in that action. Like I was predictably unpredictable every time. Maybe, man, but I wasn't going to be there, right? We talked about that before. I just that was me. That was me. And change equaled loss too, almost, for me. I felt like I would lose out if I was changing, right? If I had to change, there was something I was losing. um loss of my high, loss of people, loss of the lifestyle. I thought that's who I was, man. I thought I was just going to be kind of doing this until I wrote out of this life. And I had a familiarity with failure. I was familiar with it. There's a sense of safety in that because I'd realized that that's where I was going to be. And that's how twisted my thinking was, right? I'd rather suffer in what I knew rather than to grow into something that I didn't fully understand. Like if I didn't understand something, I wasn't going to tackle it. And it also meant I had to be accountable, Milan, and I wasn't about that. I wasn't about that accountability life. That whole like being accountable for my actions and stuff like that. There was no accountability in my disease. Having to take a real hard look in the mirror and admit that I was the problem, and it wasn't y'all. It wasn't happening. It wasn't happening. Because then in turn I would have to change and start doing things differently. Stop blaming everybody else. Start taking ownership for my actions, which I didn't know how to do. I didn't know how to do, and if I did it, I was gonna lose some of this comfortability that I was living in. Right, I was very comfortable in that day to day life, and that whole drug filled, making sure I had my fix all the time. Like I just got really comfortable there, and so why bother to change? Right, um, every time it would come, I would just slam that door shut, man. Or I would self sabotage my way into not changing and not making it an option for me. Um, to me, like giving up everything that I had was really really tough because I felt like I was giving away my identity, but I never had an identity, right? Like I was using constantly, so this identity that I thought I was building was all just a bunch of lies, man. I never really could show up as who I was. I was never the full person. I would always show up. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, man. Just segmented. I was always a segment of who I thought I wanted to be in that situation. I was never the full Andrew to a situation. So there was no honesty there. I was always living in fear of one aspect of the situation changing or turning against me or whatever. So I'm always I'm always trying to manipulate the process of everything so that I can at the end get what I needed. And I was sick. We were sick, and um, embracing change means knowing my actions before and knowing why I was doing that, and then being able to change on the front end, who I'm with, how I'm doing it, so that constant change in that healthy way happens, and then I don't have to think process my way into it all the time. I can flow into it more naturally as I get a little more clean time under my belt. So um, yeah, that's kind of my answer. Yeah, change was punishment then. Change equaled punishment, right? And because it was meant I was losing something, but losing stuff that wasn't good for us is a good thing. We don't really see that as before we get here, but when we're losing things in terms of like they don't help us and they're hindering us and whatever we're doing, man, we got to get rid of it. Got to trim that fat, man. It's not a bad thing. So love you, man.
I love that. I love you. Amazing. Okay, I've got a question for you.
Mm-mm.
Recovery teaches that change is the only constant and that peace lies in surrendering to its rhythm. How has learning to surrender made change less frightening and more freeing for you?
Wow, that's a beautiful question. Um, being able to embrace change, learning how the process feels instead of escaping them has been a beautiful thing, man. Um, I'm walking lighter today. I'm able to walk a little lighter and bring things into my life that I like, right? And shoot and kind of and be able to flow with the wind, man. I'm not fighting the tide anymore. Rewiring my thinking patterns from negativity and self doubt to possibilities and gratitude, man. I'm practicing gratitude today. And that's a beautiful thing, man. I was never grateful for anything unless it involved me getting over on somebody or me getting my drugs. I was never truly happy, man. And that's a life that it gets old. It gets old, but then we don't care anyways. We're down. We're down and we don't even know why. But building a faith that my higher powers will is better than my own allows me to change a little more freely as well, right? And that's where I gotta lean into prayer. I gotta lean into those things that I can't understand, man, because it seems like it gets hard. Like right now, I'm in a hard spot. I'm in a hard spot. I feel like this. this resistance to change is very heavy right now. And maybe it's because it's the situations that I'm coming up against right now, and the things that I have to do, because I have to make major life changes right now, and it's tough. It's tough. But I've been talking about it with my people. You know, my sponsor. I've been talking with him a lot. I've been talking a lot with all of my support network, man, and everybody's been really really cool. And for all of y'all who are listening, man, because I know a bunch of y'all are. You know, thank you for being there for me. And thank you for talking with me. God, even last night we were in the parking lot for hours, and they were just had a bunch of people just just helping me out, man, just helping me out with my situation. And because it's hard, it's hard. You know, feelings get involved, and then we can make actions on those feelings, right? And then after we do those actions, there could be negative consequences, and that's just where I'm at. Is I gotta really think about things before I do them. And I got but look, it all ultimately comes down to this, bro. And I'm dancing around things, but staying clean must come first, Milan. Bro, I gotta stay clean, right? And so ultimately, I have to like everybody in my life has to understand that that is the most important thing here. Is I have to stay clean, because if I don't, none of this stuff is even. We're not even talking about any of it. So, um, I don't even know why I hit on that, but I don't know. Felt like I had to say a little bit about it. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough, man. But look, if nothing changes, your clean time will. That's what I heard, and I can't have that, man. So
Yep.
I love you, man. I love you, bro.
I love you too. Uh,
Sorry.
okay. Oh no, I'm totally stoked, dude. In the sense that I think it's good to be sharing, and I hope I am caring. So, yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Um, okay. So, how has learning to surrender made change less frightening and more freeing for me? You know, I think it's funny because I wouldn't have called it fear. Like I wouldn't have called it fear before I hit these tools. You know, like I would have said anger or, maybe I would have said lack of acceptance, but it's now gratitude can reframe that fear and quite frankly bring joy to my day. And gratitude can be practiced. Like, man, anybody out there who has not made gratitude a regular practice in their day,
Please
and
do it.
I mean more than a list once a day. Like that list will give me about 5, 10 minutes, but I'm talking about actually trying to, like, I did an experiment. I had a sponsee that was really stressed out recently, and I got him for 2 weeks to every 2 hours send me three gratitudes in a text.
Wow.
And by the end of the first week, he's like, I might have just had the best week of my life. And by the end of that weekend, he was like, I just had the best week of my life and I ever had going away. And I'm not taking the credit for that. I'm giving the credit to gratitude on what I'm saying is
Gratitude. He's on a
it's
pink
like
pink cloud of
it
gratitude.
man, if you're feeling a lot of anxiety about things and a lack of security on things, do a gratitude every 2 hours. Set an alarm, man. Try it for 2 weeks.
I know
It's
people
not.
don't even do a list. People don't even do a
I know
list.
people are like, I'm not feeling it, and I'm like, that's exactly why you need to do it. Like the second you're not feeling it, you need to be doing it.
Oh man.
And part of the surrender thing is that now I have the tools to identify what my attachment is, what my motivation, and what my fears are. Like, man, if you haven't done the step work, get in there because that step work is going to give you tools to take a
Life.
look at yourself. And the awareness of these three things that I just mentioned, the attachment, motivation, and fears, that allows me to see the validity and sometimes the absolute silliness in those fears or
Yep.
resistance. Like, what am I actually resisting? It could be based on a bad experience when I was 5.
Yep.
Like, I've come to see some things, and it's just like some junk left over from childhood that is absolutely stopping me from growing in some direction or not. And so, you know, surrender surrender is nothing short of a miraculous thing, really. It really is. Like, it is taken away my obsessive or compulsive thoughts about alcohol and drugs, but it's also really helped me on my obsessive thoughts about life and anxiety. And it's like, it's, you know, it has built faith in my life with my connection with the universe. And it's also taught me that nothing comes for free. And
Yeah.
without me doing my share of the work and in like, all that I can in a situation, the surrender doesn't go anywhere. And if that's not other people's experience, I feel like, ooh, lucky you that you don't have to do the work that I do to be involved in my life. But for myself, you know, um, I'm able to surrender what I can't do the part of. But the thing about it is that for me, in order to really have a profound experience with surrender, I have to do that work that does identify that attachment, that motivation, that fear. I have to know what it is I'm trying to surrender. I'm not like, I want to surrender a shitty feeling and I want good feeling. Like it just doesn't work like that for me. It's like I actually have to fundamentally understand all the mechanisms of what I want gone in order for them to go. And like, there other people, it might not be their experience, but for me it is. And I'm going to leave that there on that one.
Me want good feeling now.
Me, unga bunga,
Now.
feeling good now, Andrew.
Now feeling more. Yes. All right. That's funny.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna ask you a question.
yeah.
Why do you, Milan, believe that change is absolutely necessary in recovery?
Change is absolutely necessary because what we were doing was killing us. Like, first of all, our beliefs, our beliefs led us to a place where we were not acting with unity, integrity, love, compassion, so much so. And when they say, the how of the program, that honesty, open-mindedness, willingness, I really do believe in that other thing I heard that says the willingness, honesty, open-mindedness, the who. But we were masters of deception, and we were never going to even clearly see what life was about. We were never going to clearly see how we were causing our own unhappiness. The ism of alcoholism, or the addict mind of the addict. It doesn't matter what you want to call it. It's that disconnection with the universe around us that never let us experience the true blessings that we're experiencing at the same time. It was like our constant need for more, and like belief in that discontentment, was just shaping our entire viewpoint of everything, like of every single thing. Like I can look back at like what might have been, could have been like the most prosperous time in my life, and I had free time and I had family, and I was making it a tragedy.
Yeah.
Like I I was wasting so many precious moments waiting for the next moment. Like, and when I say that, like, like any moment that you're basing potential happiness on the future, or like your only happiness was the past, that to me is a wasted moment. and
Yeah.
and 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 I just don't live there anymore. When I catch myself saying something like that, I like stop and will have to do some gratitudes right there. It's like, get some push-ups, get on the ground, give me
Get some
40,
gratitude up in here.
give me
Get
some
some
gratitude.
gratitude. Some G2.
Because like I'm living a pretty amazing life that's transforming beyond my wildest dreams,
It's true.
right in front of me every single day.
I see
And
it.
I and man, like it's I'm I'm not lucky. I'm blessed. And there's a big difference because I feel that I am making my life and my recovery the most important thing in my life. You know, like I I I, I fill my thoughts and life and you know with all the stuff and you know there's rarely a suggestion where I'm like I don't think I'll think that one. You know, the only thing I have not done is I'm not going to be like GSR or like fucking area or whatever. Like there's a limitation right now. My patience, like
Yes.
there's only so many business meetings this mother effer can do, and and that's okay. Okay, I think I'm done. The question.
Bro, it shows, bro. Like everything you're doing, it shows, man. Like even just you talking about, like you went from like almost crying right there to like just joy. Like it's so beautiful to watch you and hear you and just be a part of your life, man. I fucking love you, dude.
I love you too, dude.
I love you so
So
much,
much.
man. You make me so happy, man. What does change stand for, guys? CHANGE. Choosing honesty allows new growth every day. Come on,
Whew,
man. And then
whew.
I got one more. I got one more, and we'll hit on these a couple more later. Connection or community, either one of those, helps all navigate growth every day. Come on, man.
Ooh, yeah. And you know, the first one you could also say choosing humility.
Yes, choosing humility allows new growth every
Or
day. I might
or you
change
could
that.
like depending who you're talking to, you could change it.
Yeah, because if they're like not an honest person, I could use honesty. If
Yeah.
they're not humble, then you will use humor. Oh, I love. Ooh, so we're so dope. We're
Yeah.
so dope. All right, my question. Ready?
Yeah.
Am I asking you?
You asking you.
I'm asking me. Okay, so why do I believe change is absolutely necessary in recovery? Well, you knocked it out the park, man. I love you, love you, love you, man. For me, change is absolutely necessary because the person I was in my addiction cannot stay alive the same way and expect to stay clean. I cannot live the way I used to live and expect that I'm going to stay clean because my life has shown me that I can't, and I won't.
0% chance of
Zero
success.
percent, zero, negative 0% chance. So that mindset, the behaviors, the beliefs that kept me doing the very things that destroy me will not allow me to evolve if I don't change. But recovery isn't about putting the drugs down, right? I used to think before I got here that recovery was just not about using. I thought I could stop getting high and everything else would just kind of fall into place. And God, we know that's not the case because if nothing inside changed me, it was only a matter of time before I went back to that same misery and thought process that got me here. The drugs are not the problem, guys. We are drug addicts, but the drugs are not the problem. They are the solution. The drugs are the solution for us. That was the symptom. My real sickness comes from inside of me. That fear, that ego, that control, self-centeredness. Self-centeredness is at the core of my disease. I get reminded that every single day. And the real sickness, because things don't go away if I stop using, right? Like I have arrived to the show. Once I stop using, Andrew is here in
And
full
we love
force.
him. We love him a lot.
And so all those things have to change one day at a time through spiritual growth, right? Change is spiritual for me now. We're going to hit on this. I think that's a big point here is change is spiritual now. That's where it allows me to have a little more communication with the God of my understanding. It allows me to have more deeper relationships with my fellows. Change is spiritual, right? And spirituality is what we're looking for here. This is a spiritual program, the whole thing. And so change is necessary because recovery is not about survival. It's about transformation. Like we have survived. The fact that we're here, we did the survival thing. But now it's about transforming our lives and living better and being able to like actually grow without using. Like actually live and grow and be a better person and stack these beautiful things that we have in our lives together without at all one time in there using substances. We don't have to do that anymore today. And so if I'm just surviving, which is what I used to do, I'm still in that same mindset I had in addiction, hustling, getting through each day. which at first that's what I had to do. At first, I was just clinging on by my fingernails, just trying to get through days, and that's sometimes what you have to do. Even having clean time, there are some days that are just they're tough. They're really tough, and but it's through those days that I stay clean and I have a better outlook on life. Like I know I can get through anything, man. I know I can get through the shit that comes across my table, man. I've been through hell. I've been through worse, and so recovery is a living process, right? And change is going to always happen in that process. And I have to like your finger thing did. I have to be able to not be so resistant to that change and allow my life to flow around it. 1, 2, 3. Step 1, 2, and 3. Identify and turn it over. Surrender. Identify and turn it over, man. To everything I do, that allows me to change properly. And grow. And what does grow stand for? God rewards our work or willingness. And so my words are my focus. Changing, if I'm talking about changing, I'm going to be more apt to changing. So I'm glad we're talking about it today, and I love you,
Woo.
bro.
You ready for like a smoking doodly doo of a
Born,
question?
born ready.
Okay, change asks us to let go of who we were to make room for who we're becoming. How do you balance honoring and loving your past self with embracing your current growth? How do you balance honoring and loving your past self with embracing your current growth?
Wow. Well, it's a whole physical and a lifestyle change, but I had an identity coming in here, and I was taught a lot of things growing up, but I had just lost my way. Um, so being able to get to the core of who I am as a person, what my core values are. I feel feelings, man. Like I'm a very compassionate person. I have compassion for people, man. And the ability to not just sympathize with somebody, because sympathizing with people all day, that's great, right? Just sympathizing with people. But if I can empathize with people, right, put my feet in their shoes, really adds a level of kindness to my life and a level of softness to my heart and my spirituality when I can empathize with people. Even if they're 93 years old and they are in a walker, like I try to empathize with them. It makes me more apt to getting up and pulling a chair out for them and helping them through that door. And I'm not saying that I have to do that, but it's all part of this whole living amends, this living amends I'm making to myself, where I'm doing the right shit regardless. Because I want to be a better person. I want to lay my head on the pillow at night and know like I did everything I could today to be a better person and to live the way I talk about living. And it doesn't happen every time, but the more I talk about it, the more I draw awareness to it. The more I allow those possibilities to arise where I can change and I can be a better person, and it allows me to live better and know, like, bro, I'm not just trying to be that person. I'm actually doing it, and it's not forced. It's not forced. I don't have to force myself into these good actions, man. A simple act of kindness, bro, can change the world. It can change the world. You never know how far your reach goes, man. Being able to do something nice for somebody, not only is an act of kindness in itself, but it allows me to change who I am, and it allows me to get outside of myself, man. Like as soon as I start wrapping up in my head about some dumb shit about myself, like I try to do something for somebody. I try to make a call to that sponsee who needs that phone call, whatever it is, man. Whatever it is, go to a meeting, be of service. Um, I think that answered it. We don't have to
I
go. I
think
don't
you
have to go
answered it.
long
I
winded.
think that was amazing.
I love you.
I love you. And so, how do I balance honoring and loving my past self with embracing my current growth? Um, so, about a month ago, my daughter told me she was reading this book called Mastery of Self by Luis Ruiz, and it's very much about kind of surrender, self awareness, loving completely, but it's based off the Toltec, which was like one of the early Mexican area civilizations.
Really?
Yeah, and so one of the things that it actually talked about was about self improvement and how we can actually put ourselves in a disconnection from loving ourselves completely by trying to improve ourselves. Because if we're not saying to ourselves, hey, like, for me, like, Milan, you are loved and you're perfect as you are, but, what you're going to work on, what we're going to work on is something that, like feeds that amazingness, like, or I like makes me happier, makes me healthier, to do this. And so instead of like approaching it from a point of lack of love for where we're at, it's kind of like building on that love. And that happens to a lot of people with their own physical image when they start working out, and so I had to step back and actually take an assessment of myself of this just yesterday. And so it's very funny we're doing this topic right now because anyway,
Nice.
like I mean, like the synchronicity in the world for my personal development involved with this podcast is just like off the charts for me.
Me
Like
too.
anytime I need a shovel full of something, in my soul, it's right
Just set up
here.
a podcast.
It's right here. And so what I realized is that I'm kind of right in the middle of the spectrum right now. Like I have started due to how I'm sleeping more, how I'm eating better, how I'm exercising more, due to what I'm doing here. Like I'm starting to experience like a very dramatic and profound increase in my health. And so it's like in the beginning, I started and I was definitely dissatisfied with my body at the time. I just was quitting smoking, like that was a real like eye opener. Like, dude, do not smoke till you're in your 50s. Let me tell you that.
Okay.
Like it really is nasty. But now it's like I'm breathing better. I am like just my vitality feels like it's off the charts with how much I'm moving. And so now it's actually like I'm doing it because I love my body so much. And I see that my body benefits so much from that. Not because I want my body different, but because I see that it was almost like denying my body the amazingness it needed to be to nurture my mind and soul.
Mm.
And so, is there still improvements I want? Yes, but that is not why I'm doing it anymore. So it's kind of funny to have actually not known how to look at that and to learn that at the stage I'm at, because really what it did was it allowed me to actually see how my own evolution has changed in my mindset, in my soul, and in my physicality. And so now, there is there's still a lot of things that I want to do a ton of work on for myself. But what I'm stepping back now is that I need to work on loving myself completely more than any one of all those things. Because until I do, it's like I'm never going to be making decisions based on love for myself. And so yeah,
Beautiful, man. It's beautiful.
I was just like, whoa, this like yeah,
I
this
love
is
you, man.
I love you too.
If we were in person right now, I'd give you a big hug right now.
I kiss your whole face.
Ooh.
I kiss your whole face, even the hairy parts that might have some of your breakfast in it.
I love you, man. You ready for my question?
Mm,
You ready for this? A sizzle
I'm
one.
ready. I'm ready.
How do you handle fear when change feels uncomfortable?
Whoa. You know,
How do you handle fear when change feels uncomfortable?
hmm. I think now sometimes that fear, that uncomfortability of fear for me still manifests mostly in anxiety and anger. Like those are my two outlets for it. And one of the beautiful things, quote from Scotty N. He's like, one of the greatest
Scotty.
benefits of faith is more faith. And what's
You talking about
happened?
boots? Boots?
Yeah, Bootsy Collins.
Ooh, boots.
And so, oh yeah, gosh, I can't wait till he's done school so that we can see more of him
Miss that
again.
dude, man. Miss
Yeah,
him.
but so one of the things that for me was a big problem was, like fear of economic insecurity and almost losing my house this year. And I've talked about this a lot of times on here, but one of the most beautiful things is that I've started in my gratitudes, like one of the things that I consistently pray gratitude for is my financial abundance. Like compared to somebody who's got no food in Ethiopia or certain parts of India, like my brokest moment is still infinitely wealthier than they ever have a chance to be. And I'm not putting myself on a pedestal, everybody out there. I am saying that I have compassion for those people and I have a gratitude for my circumstances. And my my consistent application of this gratitude and me doing my part, the work that we spoke of earlier in this podcast, has drastically transformed my situation in the last 9 months. And inside that situation, um, I've developed some faith that as long as I keep doing what I'm doing with the consistency, with the effort, that things are getting better and that today I'm going to have shelter and I'm going to have food, like the things that, I think I really need. And maybe I don't even need those things, like, but at least for this point, um, that those fears are being faced with some faith and some gratitude and surrender that it's not going to all happen inside my desire, like and on the other side of that fear, is anger. And so when those fears are causing discomfort, I'm really trying to look at how to be more loving, how I can be more loving, like my very thing today was how can I love more completely, And yeah, it today I want love rather than justice. That's what I
You're
want.
getting it right here. Throwing it
Love.
at you.
I want love
Love.
rather than justice.
Love direct to you. I'm
Love.
airdropping some love to you right
There
now,
we
bro.
go.
Ping.
Ooh.
Did you hear it? Did you feel it?
I,
Ping.
it hit me right here. It's like, whoa, what? I got a stain on my shirt from it too.
Ping. It's coming. Oh, stop doing it, man. We're in a podcast. Stop.
Man, I need to wear a red shirt when we do this because there's like little red hearts
Look at
all
the
over this.
ping. Ping. Crazy. You see the one that hit you in the back of the head. Ping. All right, cool. You ready for me to answer?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So how do I handle fear, hashtag LLA, when change feels uncomfortable? And for all of you who are starting to hear this LLA, because I'm getting a lot of questions here, like, what is hashtag LLA? What is it, Milan? Love like Andrew.
No,
Y'all know.
it's you got to do limericks like Andrew, and you got to be
That's
little
fine.
leprechauns and do limericks
Yeah,
on St.
yeah.
Patty's Day.
But it's love like Andrew because
Yeah.
my thing is love, and I spread that shit around. So that's what it is. I've got T-shirts. I got one sitting right here. All right, love you guys, man. So the truth is, for me, fear and change really walked hand in hand. It really does. Fear is almost the first thing that shows up when something new is about to happen. It's like my mind's last attempt at protecting the old me. That's always terrified of letting something go. And that surrender process. I was so scared of surrender back then, bro. I was fucking running from surrender. I didn't know what surrender was, right? So fear used to be my signal to run and shut down, to use, to control the situation, whatever it was. But today, fear can actually be my signal to pause today, man. It's that pause. What does pause stand for? Pray and use step 11. Ooh.
Boop.
Pause, pray, perceive with faith, right? Perceive with faith. So like I've tried to turn that into a good trigger now. It doesn't trigger me to go into that old way. It triggers me to act accordingly and to change, to flip the script and do it properly today. When change feels uncomfortable, and it always does at first, I got to remind myself that fear is not my enemy today. Fear is just an emotion, right? And fears and my feelings, they're not going to kill me, but my actions will. right? And fear is just an emotion, not a fact. Doesn't mean that something bad's going to happen. It just means that I'm stepping outside of my comfort zone, and my old instincts, don't know what to do about that yet. My old instincts are like, hold up, what are we doing? Like, we got, like, hold on a second, we're about to do what? Like I'm not used to acting properly, and so I've got to try to do that and step outside of my comfort zone every time, and it becomes a little more easier. You know, fear used to be that stop sign that, like, was like that checkpoint in my life that would just be like, all right, we're getting off this bus. But now I can change that point, like that point where I used to get off the bus. I can change it right there, and I can try to ask myself, like, am I acting out of faith or fear right now when I'm getting ready to do what I'm getting ready to do or not do? And bro, we know faith has bigger muscles than fear, man. If we're gonna put those two up against each other, fear will win every time. If you're being honest with yourself in that situation, fear will get its ass beat. But it's tricky. It's like the little pack of hyenas, man. Like, it'll get you. Fear will get you. But if you stay consistent, stay true to who you are, right? Keep your head up, shoulders back, right? Like, every situation, own it. Own it. As long as you're honest with yourself and everybody around you in this situation, it's gonna work out the way it should, in one way or another. Honesty always wins. Honesty relates to love, right? Like if you're being honest with somebody, you're loving that person. You're showing some love, at least in that situation and at that time. I don't even know how I got off. I think I got off on it a little bit. I don't even know where I went with that. I think I answered the question, didn't I?
I know you did. I truly believe that our tangents are probably my favorite parts of listening back. Like honestly, like it's what it inspires, not what it pinpoints.
Very
Really,
true. Very true. Man, I love you, dude.
I
Love
love
you
you
a
too,
lot, man.
man.
Love
I'm
you a lot.
grateful to be here today, and
Me
I'm
too.
grateful to have this topic. Okay, the Living Clean says that resistance to change is a form of fear. Faith transforms that fear into movement. So, Andrew, how do you replace resistance with faith when old patterns try to pull you back? Like this. Ooh.
Yeah, well, the old patterns are tough, right? But they don't get past my thought process anymore, man. I feel like the way I used to do things is so set in stone and so laid out that they're always going to be there, right? Like, my old thought patterns are always going to pop up as that first natural thought process. And I think that's why people say, your first thought is not going to be right, the second one, the third one's probably not going to be right. Like that first instinct, because they're so entrenched in my mind, the way I used to do things. And so I feel like that first or second flash of what should I do now always is going to come out in that old way that I used to do things. But being in recovery now, I'm going to be pushing 4 years coming up. I'm over 3.5 years clean, man. Like I'm starting to notice that that's what I do. Like when I have a thought process about something, I'll lay it out in that old way, but then I quickly follow that with that's not you anymore, right? Like that's not you anymore, and then it comes strongly with the love, the acceptance of the situation, step work, hitting me a step 10, some inventory of the situation. I try to inventory that shit and get it taken care of. I try to step 10 Starcic that bitch. You know what I mean? And so, I have that today, man. I don't, not everything has to be so grandiose, man. Like, I don't have to wait till like the world is about to end for me to actually write my book report and do what I need to do. Like, I don't have to do that today. I can fight battles as they come in little mini wars throughout the day and be proud and grateful for what I've done, and actually build on my experiences throughout the day. Not just trying to survive till the end of the day to go and survive again that next day. I can actually stack days on each other, right? Which allows me to get my life back and be more consistent with everything I do, right? And we know, like, consistency is crucial here. We can do good. I'll keep it on me. I can do really good for like an extended period of time, and one or two bad things will come in there, and it messes everything up I've been doing for 6 months. Like it can literally wipe that shit off the map, and I'm in a worse position than if I even started it. And so, um, being aware that that's happened to me and that I can get swept under the rug in that situation a lot if I allow myself to, allows me not to be there anymore. You know, and so that's a beautiful thing too. Um, I no longer run from change, bro. I welcome it. And it's not that I welcome it, it's just that I understand that when change hits my doorstep, like there's an opportunity for growth somewhere. So if I can remain true to myself, the whole honesty piece again, stay honest too. And obviously staying clean must come first. That's always going to be behind the scenes. Always got to stay clean must come first. But I have to understand that when change hits my doorstep, it's just an opportunity from the God of my understanding to change, to do something, to pivot, to be a better person, to act properly again, even when nobody's looking, because change is just an opportunity for me to grow. And what does it stand for? God rewards our work, our willingness, right? I'm going to get rewarded if I can change in His time, right? If He sees fit, that's where I pray, man. I pray constantly throughout the day. If you see it fit, let me conquer this thing. Let me be where I need to be. So, love you.
I love you too. Living Clean says that resistance to change is a form of fear. Faith transforms that fear into movement. So, how do I replace the resistance with faith when old patterns try to pull me back? You know, it really all starts with definitely using these tools. When Andrew was just talking, you're pulling out the step 10, like looking at it and getting an awareness, because a lot of times that fear can sneak in there in I deserve, I should, like some sort of delusional thing that I will justify it with. What's the rationalization? I can rationalize a taco out of spaghetti. Like, like I'm telling you right now. But one of the things that it's like, first of all, when it's an old pattern, there's some old patterns that I've identified that I don't want to identify with. Just because I can identify it doesn't mean I want to identify with it anymore. And that the gift of desperation, that desperation to change, but also the desire to change, the fundamental need for change to occur in order for me to continue growing, that can motivate me in a direction. And, one of the things that I've seen, like even listening back to a podcast from just under a year ago, I am not the same person I was 11 and a half months ago. Not at all. And that gives me faith that I can change. Like this is like literally an audio visual diary of how my brain is changing. Like nothing short of that. Because you can't come on something like this, talk as long as we do, and be entirely full of shit. Like even if I was trying to people please or do something like as opposed to what I'm actually thinking,
That'd be a skill, bro. That'd be very
I,
skillful.
I would be like master of illusions. Like, but the thing is, and especially because we don't exchange these questions ahead of time, which
Nope.
I don't think we mention often enough, is that
Nope.
everybody out there, we don't have like only the person saying the question has that question before the show.
Never once.
Yeah. Never, in fact, like some people have tried to exchange it and I like erase the
Nope.
text and I get mad at them,
Nope.
like, stop
Nope.
that, like,
No.
because I think that some people do want the security of knowing what's coming up next. But I think that that takes away from actually showing what you know now or what you feel now, or from like I better sift this before I say this, like,
Protect myself.
yeah, that's right. And so for me, like that faith that something has changed in a positive direction, it it puts up a pretty strong argument against being back in an old pattern or resisting the change. Like sometimes I don't even see that there's something to be changed. You know, like sometimes I'm like, whoa, oh, there actually is another way. And sometimes that way has to be presented to me because guarantee Milan going to think like Milan. And when Milan thinks like Milan, guess what? Milan's probably already thought that way. Like, so yeah, I'm going to leave that one there. I'm going to pass that back to you to ask me a question.
Are you ready for a question?
I'm ready for one.
All right, Milan. What's one major change that transformed your recovery? Tell us about it. One major change
One major change.
that
Gosh.
transformed your recovery.
Okay, I would say, oh gosh, there's so many. Okay, but I got to pick one. Okay. I'm going to say praying gratitudes for this year. I like single most way, no, the single easiest way for me to live in abundance.
Tell us about it. Tell us about it.
Okay, so we started out with the whole talking a little bit about surrender, talking about change, right? And one of the things that comes up is we want something. And whether it's us wanting something we don't have or us losing something that we have, there's an attachment there and a preference. And that preference can either be fear or anxiety, one of the two, and that's a discomfort. And that discomfort almost always comes without us actually looking at the amazingness we have now, because we've now left this present moment to go into the future. And so when I can actually be grateful for what's happening now, and that's one thing I think is really important to me, is that when I do a gratitude list, it's either for something that just immediately happened, or it's for something that's right now. But I really try to do my gratitude list for this exact moment, because I don't think that your gratitude list should be something that takes you from the presence. It's like right now, 5 gratitudes are: I'm grateful that I have Andrew as a brother. I'm grateful that we are allowed to spend time together. I'm grateful that he took the time today to spend time with me. I'm grateful that I have organized my life for us to have this time together. I'm grateful that we are doing these podcasts, and I'm grateful for the amazing topic we get to discuss today. And I'm grateful for what I'm learning from his words, and also what I'm learning about him through his words. And that might have been more than 5, but I couldn't stop once I was rolling.
No, beautiful.
But the thing about it is that right now it makes me look around, and it's like, I'm not so grateful my smoothie's empty. Like, I really wish.
Swamp Slurpee.
But I am grateful that I had such a wonderful smoothie, and that I can be like Bog Dog with my smoothie. But Bog Dog.
Swamp Slurpee.
But for me, it's really that the praying those gratitudes. So now, instead of trying to pray for something I don't have, trying to pray for somebody else to have something they don't have, for something not to happen. Like, I'm not trying to become the puppeteer again with my prayer. What I'm doing is I'm trying to recognize these amazing things, even if minutely incremental. Like, when I was really stressed about money, I was grateful for the faith that was replacing fear about my economics. I was grateful for financial abundance, because even though at that moment I wasn't perceiving I had full financial abundance, I did have a modicum of it. I did have an amount of it. And so, I pray that out loud when I'm walking down my road in the dark next to the bears. I thought a garbage can was a bear yesterday. Oh my God.
Stop
I thought his garbage can was a bear. And I got to admit, I was a little bit scared. Oh,
it was.
I tapped on it. I went up and tapped.
You shouldn't have tapped on it. Don't find out next time. You run. You get away from those bears. Damn it.
No, anyway, so yeah, that's my journey with praying gratitude. And I like to shout out to Laura Kluby for her help in my life.
Shout out Laura
Kluby
and the bears. All right.
Yes.
So ready for me to answer, or what is it? My question, right? Answer my question.
Yeah, you got to answer your
I get
question.
so lost in your answers, bro. I have no idea. And it's just you and I. How do I get lost? It's just you and I. It's crazy. So, what's one major change that's transformed my recovery? Well, overall, man, it really comes back to um, letting go of control and that true surrender. That was really the thing that really has transformed here as of late. That was a turning point, and it shifted. Things shifted for me at that point. It was kind of like it's kind of like before that I was recovering on my own terms.
Mhm.
I wanted the promises of the program, but I still didn't really truly fully like trust the process. Talk about trusting the process, and I still wanted to kind of run the show, and I didn't even really understand it at that point, but I still had those control. And I still do, but the surrender process, letting go of that control has shifted things for me, and it really cracked everything open. And that shift from some self will to God's will. When I finally stopped forcing outcomes and started allowing my life to unfold and begin to see that my life has a rhythm, there's a flow to it, a divine, like I feel like a divine order. And it doesn't need my interference, Milan, right? All these things that are happening, I don't need to interfere into all these things. I can let these things happen. Look, do what I can about things, surrender and just sit back and let this thing take me on its ride, right? And continue staying spiritually tapped in and talking to him, man, praying, staying light. And letting go of control has taught me about acceptance, true acceptance. Accepting people where they are, not where I wanted them to be. I always went into a situation not hating on somebody because they weren't exactly where I wanted them to be. What's wrong with me? Hell's wrong with me, right? Like when I started realizing that I did that all the time, it was an awakening for me, and so I had to accept situations and find the serenity in those situations. As if I willed them to be that way. Not that like they were beating me up and trying to change me and trying to reroute my day and piss me off. Like everybody's trying to piss me off all day. Like that had nothing to do with me. Right? This shit is happening, right? Do you want to fight the process or you want to like roll into it and be free flowing in it? Like I'd rather do the latter, right? And acceptance has brought me peace. And peace has given me more power. Power in my life to control what I do and manage my own life in a healthy way, not as addict, that old addict behavior, right? Acceptance brought me that peace. I never knew what peace is. My nervous system as an addict, we talk about this all the time. I'm addicted to chaos. I don't know what peace is. So I'm always going to choose that familiar chaos over unfamiliar peace. But acceptance through this process of surrender has brought me peace. I'm more of a peaceful person, and that gives me power on my program, on my life, of just, being confident in the situation, like knowing I can figure it out. And if not, I'm still going to be okay, right? As long as I don't pick up. And so when I stopped trying to control life, man, I have space now for growth. Right? When I'm not trying to manage, control, manipulate every fucking thing, I have space here now where I can grow as an individual. It gives me space in between there for a calm space that's where I can do my growth. That's where I can intake people's information and actually have it sit in my head and process it. Peaceful. And that's why I gotta help keep the people that keep me peaceful, right? When they're out of whack, I gotta really be there for those people because they saved my life. And that's another thing that has given me, right? And so there's a freedom with that surrender process. It, Milan. This is a program this program is of surrender, not of self improvement. The improvement shit comes easy. It's not easy day, but like this is a program of surrender. Surrender is the only way we're gonna be able to get through get to the finish line here, the finish line of like that infinity chip. Like we have got to do that, you know. And so all that fear-based control, I can turn that into faith. Like here, you ready for this? This is your zinger. I can turn my fear-based control into faith-based surrender. right?
Oh, yes.
I actually have to write that down because I don't have that written down, right? So, fear. So I can term the fear. What did I just say? Fear-based control into faith-based surrender. Fear-based
Ooh.
control into faith-based surrender. Ooh, I just sizzled myself. I think we'll be talking about that one going forward. Look, I have to turn the fear-based control into faith-based surrender. That's a must, right? And so that allows me to find purpose. The surrender gives me peace. In that peace, I have found a purpose. A purpose, man. I found freedom. I've been running from everything in my life, man. Now I'm embracing things and change comes, and I can pivot. I can do what I got to do. I can help people out, man. I can be there for somebody. I can show up, so yes, the change that changed everything, surrender. It's not about
Ooh.
trying harder. It's about trusting deeper and giving it up, man. Love you, dude. Love you so much.
I love you
Thank you.
too. You ready for a question?
Born.
Okay, have you been doing your yoga lately?
Nope.
First question. Okay, so in recovery, we learn that flexibility is not weakness. It's the
Mm-hmm.
strength to bend without breaking.
Mm-hmm.
What spiritual tools helped you stay flexible when life challenges your expectations?
Wow. Wow. Spiritual tools, there's an emotional change. Learning how to trust the process and process those feelings instead of escaping them. Understanding that emotions aren't facts. It's a fact that we feel, but feelings aren't facts. I said this earlier. My feelings will not kill me, but my actions will. Growing in emotional awareness and maturity comes with an emotional change, and then I allow myself to heal because I'm building resilience that way. It seems like to me, and that's how I think about it. So there's a mental aspect to it, where I'm rewiring my thinking patterns. I and then every day as I rewire these thinking patterns, man, I come to the point of my decisions differently, man. I'm healthy. I mean, I feel healthy, mentally and physically, when all that shit wraps on itself, and then I can come to the table as a full person finally, man. Because I was never a full person. Even when I was sick. I was very sick. So this you kind of on the spiritual change, right? Like building faith that my higher power has a better outlook, or like its will's better than mine. Like anything I can drum up, he's got something in store for me. So when like shit gets really, really hard to do, like I understand and I've got to back out at that point. Because like when shit is like so tough, I'm barely getting through something, like I understand I've taken my will back, and like there's something that he don't want me to be doing. And it's really easy to see today. Really easy to say. But that requires humility, openness, willingness. Um, and then I experienced grace right through that process. We hit on grace the other day, grace in the gray areas. I know y'all didn't like that topic, but I did. And but change, I'm not gonna like change. I'm not changing to become perfect, right? I got to understand I'm never gonna be perfect. I'm not, and yeah, I might be trying to go. You've hit on this, trying to go towards that perfect picture, but got to have something to shoot for. But I understand I'm never gonna get to that perfect picture. Um, but I remain teachable, man. Open-minded. HOW. It's the how of the program. I don't think I answered the question. Maybe I did. I think I did. Maybe. And I love
I
you.
I think you did. I don't know. I would say for sure you did.
Yeah.
In recovery, we learn that flexibility is not about doing yoga. No, it's not weakness. It's the strength to bend without
Mhm.
breaking. Now, what spiritual tools help me stay flexible when life challenges my expectations? Well,
Lululemon pants.
first of all, what am I doing with an expectation to begin with, right? Like that's one of the things where I'm like, damn, I'm still there, right? Because I have these weird expectations. Like I expect the ground to be hard when I'm walking on it.
Hmm?
I like like it's not quicksand everywhere. Like
Crazy.
I expect the sun to be shining from the sky. Like there's just some things that
Me to be handsome.
always handsome.
Okay, I was just making sure.
It's like I'm like, man, too handsome, too handsome. I need to get me an ugly co-host. But you know, one of the things, probably the greatest two things for me would be um, open-mindedness and love, right? You know,
Mm.
like if my mind is open, um, then I'm okay with learning something new. And the second it starts to shut even a bit, there develops a resistance there, you know? And that resistance is that, like I think I've got the plan for today. Don't you worry, little universe. Like this little planny poo is mine.
Take a day off. I got this
I,
today, man.
I, I got the whole thing, man. Don't worry. I got a
You
mountain
got enough you're
erosion.
dealing with over
I got
there,
like
man.
quantum mechanics. I even got a black hole. But but the thing
Couple of
is,
them.
is you know, like when I'm not being flexible too, quite often it's because I am just coming from a place of ego, coming from a place of self. And that self has a really defined thing of what Milan deserves, is owed, should get, and and that's probably not a very strong place from love. And so for myself, I'm on the quest to be more loving, and I'm taking it seriously in my life these days. And so, you know, that is allowing me to come with another tool called acceptance that plays a great part in me being able to love you regardless of what I want from you. Like, and that doesn't mean that I want you to give me money or to give me personal items. What I want from you might be a smile when you're incapable of doing it. And I can get offended just like not receiving love, that like it might be love I'm expecting, and that acceptance can let me see that you're doing the best you can right now, and you're giving me what you've got to give me, and the best that I can do is love you where you're at. Like maybe it's my turn to smile today. Maybe I didn't smile at you, maybe, you need a hug. Maybe you just need a little grip on the arm, like, um, I was in a meeting a couple months ago, and one of my good friends, he just reached over at one point while I was sharing, and he just kind of grabbed my arm, like just grabbed my forearm, like, and it was like his fingers kind of hugged my forearm. And I'm
Hmm.
telling you, that might have been the best hug I got all summer. It was right at a part where he was just kind of like, I'm with you, bro, you know? And
Me too. Me too, man.
yeah, it, it,
That's
it, it,
awesome.
and it's just something as simple as that. But, but I wasn't, there was no expectation. Like, and that's the one thing is that, like, man, comparison is the thief of
Mm,
joy. Comparison is always the thief of joy.
mm.
Like, it's either going to rob your joy or it's going to rob someone else's, but it's never leaves joy intact. There's because
Yep.
wherever there's a winner, there's a loser,
Yep.
and nobody
Yep.
wants to be that. Nobody
No.
ever is like, I'm so happy you're way better than
No
me.
love in that. No love in that.
Yeah, it's not love.
Mm.
Love doesn't compare like that.
Nope.
And so, I feel that open-mindedness, love, and acceptance are probably the three things that help me the most in that circumstance.
I just want to say how proud I am of you that, because look, acceptance is dope and everything, right? Like I love acceptance. It's really cool. Like it's got big muscles. Like it's really fun to hang out with and all that. But like,
It's got
I'm
the coolest
so
speedo.
it does. It's got bro. He can swim faster than everybody else. Like I get it. He's the Mako shark of all of it. But like, love is the ocean that he swims in,
Hmm.
right? Like love is everything, right? I'm just glad that you finally came around to my lifestyle of love, and I love you.
You're funny.
Remember, you used to fight me, man. It's on tape. All right, you ready for
Okay.
my question?
Yes.
Just tell me. Ask me a damn question then.
Give me the question. Put your
Ha!
ass in the seat.
Coming now. How do you, Milan, encourage others to embrace change in their own recovery? How do you encourage others to embrace change in their own recovery?
I would say through formats like this of talking about my personal journey of it, through my shares at meetings, through my smiles and contentment in my life. Like, I think the only way that we really make a difference is leading by example. Like some people are like, oh, I want to see what it talks like when the meeting's out. And it's like, really, that's it. Is like, are you walking the walk of what you say here? Like, are you actually looking at stuff? And for me, in I want to make it clear. I am a million miles from any perfection, a million miles from any perfection. But this is like, at this topic, especially in particular, like I regularly think about this. I regularly try to surrender this. I regularly try to see the mechanisms involved that keep me from embracing that change. I regularly look at how I am, and so for me, I'm not talking as some authority on this, but what I am talking about is that I have seen a profound difference in my life due to trying to do this. And I don't know if I have any impact on any other people out there, other than myself. But how do I encourage myself? Is that on those days that something's really hard, I try to remind myself that this is an opportunity for growth. And I'm looking at like, am I loving myself or the other people in this circumstance? I'm really so, you know, the the person I'm really trying to encourage the most is me. And if that encourages other people, well, that's just a blessing.
It does.
Yeah.
Hashtag pick me.
Hashtag
I love
Andrew.
you. I love you, man. You encourage me every day. You really pump me up, man. Thank you for being you. Don't change, please. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I meant. Like don't like
Yeah,
change, but don't change.
I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to embrace it.
Embrace change.
I love
I'm
it.
not gonna say tell anybody don't change. I just say embrace change. Love you.
Yeah.
How do I encourage others to embrace change in their own recovery? Great question. Hashtag LLA. Well, the way I encourage others to change isn't by just preach. I do preach it a lot, but like it isn't by just preaching it. And you hit on it, Milan. It's by living it. You got to lead by example. Because in this program, people don't need another lecture. They need an example. They need an example of somebody going through the shit that you're trying to go through and doing it clean and being able to have a smile on your face and talking about how you did it. They need to see someone who's walked through fear, resistance, through discomfort and still kept going. Someone who's been where they want to be and lived and still and can tell the truth about it with humility and love and tell how they got through that process. That's what we need here. That's what newcomers need to hear when they get here. Because most of us don't think that change is possible. I didn't think change was possible for me. People sitting around laughing and feeling good without using. I thought y'all were full of shit, man. I thought either y'all were on drugs, full of shit, like something's going on here. They're trying to get my money. There's like they're police. Something's up. Something's up. And that's not the case, bro. It's not the case. Y'all just threw that love and hope on me, man, and just said, sit in this for a little while, man. Sit in this bath of love and hope, and try not to come back tomorrow. And it's very contagious.
You mean
Love
try
it.
to come back tomorrow?
No. Try to not come. Like you feel all this love and hope. Yeah, but it's a play on words. But like, try to not think about what you just experienced here today, and the fact that we're going to give it to you again freely tomorrow. Try not to come back tomorrow. See how that feels.
Yeah.
And
Just go for it.
That's the way I needed it relayed to me early. That's the way my brain had to take it in order for me to be able to overcome the fact that I just wanted to go back out and use. And it was and a lot easier for me to do that and not face who I was. So thank you to all of you predecessors who, smacked me in the face when I got here and just said, sit the F down, man. Take this love, take this hope. And I dare you to come back tomorrow. So, I remind newcomers that change doesn't happen overnight, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't happen overnight. It's one step. It's one step at a time. It's one prayer at a time. It's 1 second at a time. Sometimes,
And,
get your ass in a meeting.
and like, man, for myself, 25 and a half months in, my most profound stuff has happened in the last 4 months.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't slow down, and it doesn't all happen at once.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't. And so, and part of that is showing up consistently. There's got to be some. That's what I tell them: consistency. There's something really,
Commitment.
really magical that happens when consistency is added to this mixture here, man. Things start happening when you start getting consistent and you remain consistent in your actions. You start understanding that you can show up. You actually can show up when you say you're going to show up, even though you never did. So on top of that, another way, I change is by celebrating progress, not perfection. I don't celebrate. There's no celebrating perfection. We're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. You hit on that too. I celebrate progress. I point out growth in people, my sponsees or whatever, man. I point out how they're growing. It's not about pointing out all that bad shit. Remember when you used to act this way in a certain situation, man? Remember when you used to act this way? Well, you don't anymore. I got to remind them how they have grown. A lot of people can't see their own growth early, right? It's hard to even retain any information, let alone see how you've grown in a week when all you're doing is holding on for dear life. We see that shit, people that can't even say a word in a meeting and they go from being like really just nervous or whatever, and then they do their first share and they think they really haven't gotten any growth there. And we've seen it the whole time. And we're like crying on the other side of in the meeting. It's so beautiful to watch that early growth anytime, but that early growth is so special. So special.
It's like watching a seed come out of the dirt, man.
So beautiful, man. It's so beautiful. And then when that happens, that's when all the real love starts getting on you. You get love from all different kinds of angles when you finally start coming out of the ground a little bit, man. The sunlight hits you, you get a little bit of rain, a little bit of cleansing up, man. It's just beautiful, man. This whole process is so fucking beautiful. And I lean on the power of example. Gotta live by example, man. When people watch me go through my seasons, my loss, my resistant to change, my new responsibilities. They see me going through my shit. They can see me doing it. They know themselves that they can do it. They see that change isn't the end. It's the beginning. It can be the beginning of something beautiful if you want it to be. Right, Milan?
Yes.
Encouraging to embrace change also means that being honest about how hard it can be, because it can get really tough in here. I tell like newcomers that change will sometimes break you open before it builds you back up, man. But sometimes change is gonna break you down, bro.
Break you down.
But then it's gonna leave all the tools for you to like build yourself up way better than you were before, right? It's gonna leave you a couple extra tools, a little extra nails, a couple extra materials, to build you up. And maybe the most important part of this is like I encourage others by loving them through their process. I gotta love them through where they're at. I gotta stay spiritual. Because love is what got me through mine. Easy. It's the only thing that got me here. Love. The people who loved me when I didn't love myself, who told me the truth without condemning me. Those people that stayed patient when I was stubborn. Still got those people in my life, man. They kept me alive. They're who I lean on today. They're the reason that's the only reason I learned that to trust change today is that. So now I try to give that same love that I was given so freely in these rooms back out. I got that super soaker full of love and humility, man. I'll be spraying that shit on. You won't be looking, you're just like, bam. Just get sprayed in the face. Like, where the hell did that come from? Like, Andrew's in the room. Love's here. LLA, you got some. Embrace it, right? And so, when I was shown that grace, right, without being condemned, man, it changed my spirituality, right? It pumped me up to being able to be better spiritually and be able to come to the table with something to offer, and not just somebody trying to stay clean, right? When I got here, I was an addict, right? As I started incorporating these things into my life, when I became of service to this fellowship, I became a member, right? I went from an addict to an NA member. That's a big change. I love you guys, man. I love you, Milan.
Ooh, love you too. Okay, so what's your timeline today?
Where we at? I got what, 10, 15 minutes.
Okay, so I'm going to ask one more question.
Cool.
That's it. And here we go. The 12 and 12 reminds us that self examination reveals what no longer serves us. How do you recognize when it's time to release an old belief or a behavior?
How do I recognize when it's
When
time
it's
to
time
leave?
to
Yep,
time
yep.
to release an old behavior or
Oh,
belief.
um, when the process gets too tough, like, and I'm trying to look for words, but when my process is not so free flowing and it becomes so stopped up that I'm overthinking things, and the process becomes so hard that I feel like it's messing me up. Like that's when I know I got to change something up. And I can't just push through those times. I have to be able to reroute. I got to be able to be smart about my situations and be aware. Awareness is very, very key uh, to knowing how I need to proceed going forward. Sometimes I got to call my sponsor. Sometimes I got to call Milan. Sometimes I got to call Brandy or JJ. And because sometimes I need y'all to tell me something, even though I can tell myself. Again, my disease is talking to myself in my own voice. I'm full of shit. Right? I'm selling that bullshit to the other side of my brain who's consistently buying that exact bullshit. So I gotta have my people that surround me today allow me to stay not so fear based. Fear based. What did I say earlier? Fear based control over faith based surrender. Woo, that's my jam.
Yeah,
Fear based control over, and I've switched that to faith based surrender. I don't even think that answered your question, but I'm cooked anyway. So I love you, man.
I love you too.
I'm done. Love you.
Okay, that was actually still pretty freaking awesome. The 12 and 12 reminds us that self examination reveals what no longer serves us. How do I recognize when it's time to release an old belief or behavior? Well, it's something I'm actually doing in three dimensions right now because I am, like I was saying on other episodes, that I was kind of doing three different ways of doing a step four simultaneously.
You're a
And
beast.
uh, and so a big part of what I was doing and have been doing is some fundamental beliefs that no longer serve me. And, so first of all, how do I identify those, right? Well, identify them because they're either the source of discontentment or my perceived pain. They're either the cause of preferences that is keeping me from surrender, and they're literally fears, like they literally are actually just fears in themselves. And um and so I identify them by, first of all, my step 10, by also looking in my surrender, by doing inventories, and just by like day-to-day self-analysis about things that are happening inside me, and sometimes I identify them by listening to somebody else talk. Like some of my fundamental beliefs and beliefs and what is it? Beliefs? Yeah, beliefs or behaviors. Some of my beliefs and behaviors are completely transparent to me in cause and effect until I actually have a way to identify them. Like it's like my delusions are like invisible ink on some stuff. And it really surprises me sometimes. And the thing about it is that when I keep my ears open and my mouth shut at a meeting and I'm listening to other people, it often will uncover other things for myself where I'm like, I cannot believe so much of my life has been done like that without me clearly identifying this. It's been something that, you know, uh, has been one of the greatest benefits of meetings really for me is the source of education, the source of different perceptions, the source of looking at things differently. And if something is uh, an unnecessary belief or behavior that is causing me or others pain, it's time for it to go. It's time for me
Mm.
to at least start addressing that it's going to go. And I think I'm going to leave it there because I feel like, man, I love today. I love you. I love
I
this
love you.
episode. I love all the people who've been part of this. Stay tuned. In 2 episodes, we're going to have the 200th podcast, which to me is like just a milestone in my life, in my heart, in my connection with the universe. Thank you, everybody who's, just helped make this magical experience what it's been.
Beautiful, man. Yeah, I can't believe it. I can't believe we haven't had Brandy and JJ on in the same podcast in 200 episodes. We
We're
haven't.
probably
That's
never going to
crazy.
stop after that.
That's crazy. Look, if you want to see someone's real character, watch how they treat someone who can't do anything for them. You'll
Yeah.
find out. Love you.
Tune in next episode for more recovery fun because I love you so much. I'm Hulk Hogan. Please help us help others. If you like what you've seen here today, please subscribe and share this podcast and help us get to 100 followers. We're looking for interaction with our audience. So please email recoveryfreedomrising@gmail.com or contact Milan South Okanagan Starcic on Facebook with questions, topic suggestions, or just comments. We'd love to hear from you.